We've interviewed former British quiz champion Evan Lynch a couple of times, and here are some of the tips that he gave us in those interviews.
Well, I think especially for the World Championship, there's a very specific set of topics that you need to be absolutely solid on, and it's been said many times before, but things like your UNESCO World Heritage Sites or your winter sports or your Olympic swimmers, things like that. There's no margin for error, and certain players, and you can tell this from watching them in MIMIR or whatever, they've done the hard yards in some of these categories. It takes a large amount of time to go through all these things, and that's the kind of thing you build up to over years, not months, really, depending on how much time you want to put in. In these kind of 40 question papers, there's going to be 10 things you don't know, maybe, and then ideally 20 things that are going to be that you want to be able to reel off. So then the battleground is that 10, and what can you get on those, and going from 8 to 10 in that middle ground is going to make such a huge difference. Get as far into every paper as you can without making mistakes, and then deal with it. Deal with the back 20. The way it prepares you for these papers is you can throw out a lot of answers very quickly and move on from them. So some examples in the back half of art and culture, there was like Cardenio or the Dagda, or Confessio Amantis, which is the John Gower poem. That is something that comes up at the higher level, and you don't need to think about it. You just throw it out and move on, and that's a huge advantage, really.
Yeah, and for people like me who haven't been doing that quizzing, I was sat there thinking, is there something obvious I'm missing? And then when I see the answer, it's like, no, it wasn't obvious. But if you've been living that world where you are getting that level of question or difficulty or obscurity, however you want to call it, coming up, then you're used to preparing and used to fishing that sort of thing out.
Yeah, I mean, it's the kind of thing where you don't actually, I see why a lot of people don't gel well with Quizbowl, because it can be very alienating. And I think also in terms of value at other quizzes, it's not always so useful, especially once you get beyond a certain point, because the things don't come up elsewhere, and this time some of them did.
Do you find yourself at times, like I guess most quizzes on faced with something like this, I know this, I can't fetch it out, and then do you have strategies and ways of trying to drag that answer out?
Yeah, there's a lot of trying to imagine the shape of the word or the length, and that often helps, I think, if I can start to sort of assemble it, or you start thinking about how you know this, and try and find that right synapse connection, and all of a sudden you'll remember hearing it from 5 years ago at some random event. I remember when I started, I was very bad at history, and I needed to sort of build up this chronology in my head of where everything should fit. And then as I started to learn more about that, everything kind of slots in. You see the connections between things a lot more. And I think, there's no other way to get to a certain level beyond doing a lot of work, really. Yeah, there's just so much material to go through, really.
I guess one thing for the student quizzes is it's very easy for them to think that Quizbowl is their world. And I think one thing that I noticed about you is you've got involved in Grand Prix, Quiz League and things like that, which kind of gives you added dimensions, doesn't it, in terms of knowledge and questions?
Yeah, I mean, I remember, 5-6 years ago, people were saying, these quiz bowlers don't actually know anything else. And it was always very conscious to me that I wanted to join the QLL, try these quizzes. I remember trying these, I think you were there at the first Grand Prix I did. In
Cambridge, was it?
In Cambridge, yeah. And, so that was 2017, 2016. And then, you know, there's sort of 4 major formats really: the Quizbowl, league format, the written format, and MIMIR. And they're all very different and very good fun. But I don't just want to be good at one of them.